Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington.
I'm Samba Bachili.
Nina Vaca, Chief Executive Officer of Pinnacle Group.
An original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank.
CEO of ADS Group.
The largest Latina-owned workforce solutions in America.
I first identified myself as an entrepreneur when I was 15 years old.
My mother and father immigrated here with a suitcase and a dream. I had a front row seat to entrepreneurship. I am living proof of what is possible in this country.
Today, the marketplace is very tough.
The challenge for African market today is its access to capital.
The number one reason why we can't scale as entrepreneurs is access to capital.
What makes Glow so different and so powerful is the access to experts, gurus, mentors, coaches, financiers, venture people, money.
When I started my business, I immediately went to engage with different communities, different platforms. Glow makes that experience digital. A digital platform makes it so much faster and so much easier for you to meet like-minded people.
The financial platform that Glow have that make Glow unique.
Glow is about commerce, Glow is about community, and Glow is about having access to capital.
Glow is an asset to every entrepreneur in this country and globally.
It's about helping you take your business, your idea to the next step.
Hi there, and welcome to Business Acceleration 2.0. This is the show where leaders go to grow, and we're thrilled that you're here with us today. So Glow, or the Global Leaders Organization, is the sponsor of the Business Acceleration 2.0 show. Glow is a membership organization made for the entrepreneur. It brings an entrepreneur together with community, with the opportunity to grow their business. And if you're ever in need of capital, we're here to assist you for that. And finally, with content, because as an entrepreneur, you need to continue to learn and grow so that you can continue to build your business. So we're built on the 4 foundational C's: community, commerce, capital, and content. Check us out at www.withglow.com, withglo.com. So speaking of the 4th C, which is content, you're here today to hear from our guest, Miss Patricia Fripp. And we're thrilled that she's here with us today because we're going to learn some things about sales and about presentation. Because as an entrepreneur, you might not be doing sales, but you might be, or you're helping to manage some sales professionals in your company. So either way, this is going to be a great presentation for you, a great program. So Patricia really helps businesses. She helps them to polish their sales conversations and their presentations. She works with leaders to help inspire them to become better leaders and create action and build commitment through their words. So much like Glow members, ask her to help her on maximizing their best marketing opportunities. Patricia comes in with a long line of credentials. She's a CSP, a CPAE, she's a coach, a sales presentation expert, and an online expert as well, which is great for us with this on Zoom. I'm sure she could teach me a few things right now. She was the very first female president of the National Speakers Association. Patricia has several books that she's written. She's a Speaker Hall of Fame, and we're thrilled that she's here with us today. So without further ado, Patricia, thank you for being with us. We could just go on and on with your resume. So,
well, thank you very much, Michelle. And if my brother Robert Fripp were here, he would say, I'm not surprised my sister gets paid to tell people what to do. She was a very bossy little girl.
And we love your accent. It's hypnotic too. So that helps also, right? How did you ever get into this profession? Let's just start there.
Well, I was raised by an entrepreneur in England. I became an entrepreneur. It's always been in my blood. And perhaps some of your members have found this out. When you are raised by an entrepreneur, even when you go to work for other people, you look at the business as an owner, not as an employee, which makes you more valuable to them. And I was in the hairstyling industry. I was San Francisco's #1 men's hairstylist when it was a new industry. And being the star of my Dale Carnegie class and Toastmasters, I began giving speeches to my clients' Rotary clubs and breakfast clubs. And after 2 talks, I realized People who heard me speak came in my salon. This was the least expensive way to promote my business. And as I was speaking, people started asking, what would you charge to say that to my group? I went to the National Speakers Association convention and realized this is my next profession. And when I was speaking and enjoyed a keynote career for decades, but Michelle, I am sure you have found, as all your Glow members have found, if you listen to your customers and clients, they will tell you what they want to pay for and help craft where your future goes. And now, because I listen to my clients, a couple of meaningful conversations. One was a national sales manager said, Patricia, I liked your speech, but I loved how you delivered it. Can you teach our salespeople to speak that way? Because it takes us a year to be in a position to deliver a 1-hour presentation to a hospital board. It's worth $9 million a year if we get the business. However, we keep losing sales, and it has nothing to do with our price or our offering. I get feedback that the sales presentations of our competitors are better than ours. And when I put together a program for her, little did I know she'd just given me the secret, Michelle, to always be in demand when perhaps I don't look quite as good on iMag as I might have done 20 years ago.
It reminds me of the story, Patricia, of the story where there's the corner grocery store. And I'm sure you've heard this before. It's the little neighborhood store, and they keep coming in and they're asking for ice cream, but they don't sell the ice cream. So the owner of the store sends them down the block until he finally realizes, hey, wait a minute, I should start selling ice cream, right? I'm sure that's a story you've heard before. That reminds me of what you're talking about, right? Makes me think of your story with people asking you, all right, wait, you're so good at this. Can you teach us how to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been teaching people how to do it. Tell us what sales managers, what are they missing to help drive more sales? Let's get right into the sales component.
Now, you're going to hear a Fripp rant now. It drives me crazy that so many brilliant, wonderful companies, they invest in their salespeople. They teach them the product knowledge of their competitors, their contact management system. They teach them everything they need to know. And then they send them out, and they usually say, go straight to the C-suite to deliver your presentation. And they never tell them what to say. So all the investment is up to the point where you're lucky enough to have an appointment, but you haven't crafted your message. And one very interesting conversation, a woman called me, Shelley Seeger, and she had downloaded one of my special reports, the 11 mistakes sales presenters make in their presentations. And she said, we are a technology company and we only hire salespeople who've had at least 10 years selling technology. We naturally assumed that our sales professionals could go out and tell our story until we had everyone present to our leadership and we were horrified. And I have been charged to scour the globe and find the best sales presentation skills team to help us. I'm lucky you're only 36 miles from headquarters. But that's it. People assume just because people are smart, well-educated, and know what they're selling, that they know how to be persuasive, how to ask the right questions, and how to restructure what you are saying in a way that it would be of more interest to your very good prospect that you're talking to.
Okay, let's stop right there, because you talk about in your sales training how to organize and structure the sales presentation. Is there a logical theme to how you do that?
Well, I think it's logical. So first of all, Michelle, let's look at what most people, whether they're selling $100 product or 100,000, and some of my clients, when they get a yes, it's worth $20 million. That is a long process.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. What do most sales professionals say? Michelle, thank you for your time. And I believe if you sound the same as everybody else, you have no advantage. And one of the secrets, Michelle, is to understand that everybody else is more interested in themselves than they are in us. I recommend the first sentence of a sales conversation or presentation should be, congratulations. Now find one, it could be several, but an area that they are proud of, or it could be something you had to research. Congratulations, Michelle. I noticed your stock just went up 3 points and your three major competitors have just gone down. Obviously, your strategy works and you make good decisions. Now, don't you think if you took some approach like that, where you talk about them first, what they are proud of, that will at least buy you, won't make your sale, but it'll buy you a little longer to help tell your story. Then, obviously, we want to find out about what they're interested in. And usually I am brought in one to help with the prospecting. But when you finally have the presentation, whether you are in person or virtual, the principles are exactly the same. So let's imagine you are finally worked your way through and you have an appointment with 3 or 4 leaders who are going to make the decision. So again, I'd say congratulations. And then probably at this point, Michelle, if you are one of the contenders, one of the 3 contenders they're considering, you have worked with other people who've prepared you to talk to the leadership. Always make them a hero. So I'd say, thank you to John and Mary. They were very generous with their time and information. And they told me that your areas of interest in, or your opportunities are, or your challenges, whatever words you've heard, opportunity, interest, challenge, to hear would be this, this, this. Now, when it comes to the structure of a presentation, what traditionally were we told? Hi, I'm Patricia. I work with the ABC company. We've been in business this long. This is our unique proprietary software. This is who we work with. You can tell them that as long as it is framed around their interest, opportunities, and challenge. You have got their words of what they're interested in, and you add your information to it. If you are a serious contender and you are talking to the senior leadership, they know a lot about you or you wouldn't have got that far. So you don't need the normal approach. You need to answer their challenges, opportunities, or interests, and frame your conversation that way. And as you well know, one of the most popular topics is storytelling for business. How do you tell stories about your happy, satisfied customers and clients? And when you do this well and use their words, it is what I call taking your satisfied clients on your sales calls with you. So that's a few of the ideas.
Yeah, that's great advice. Okay, so I'm hearing that you really need to be doing your research before you start that phone call or that Zoom call or begin that face-to-face presentation. You really need to have done your homework, right?
Well, certainly do some homework. How often have you got a cold call because you're the president of a company?
Right.
And people, the old days, Michelle, was make 60 calls a day. No, make 20 and know who you're calling. And
Exactly.
because in this day and age, you really don't talk to many people, I would challenge everyone. Know who you're calling and leave the most interesting voicemail. So the next day when they pick up their voicemail, so you might even make your calls in the evening when you don't think anyone's going to pick up, because you can have your well crafted. Now, let's say they do pick up the phone. What do people say? How are you? If anyone asks me how I am, I say busy. Specifically, what can I do for you? I'll do it when you're not busy. I'm going to be busy later. Specifically, what can I do for you? You know, that is obvious. If I say busy, get to the point fast. I had someone I picked up the phone thinking it was someone I knew. How are you? Busy. What can I do for you? I said, look, I'm in the middle of my breakfast. I have a call soon. What are you eating for breakfast? Come on. It doesn't matter. Why did you call? Don't extend the nothing part of the conversation. So I would say, whether I leave a message or say, Michelle, we have not had the pleasure of meeting. Because how often everyone is busy. We've met so many people in our careers. Don't you always want to know, where did I meet this person? Was it at
Yeah.
was it this trade show? Did they send me an email and I can't remember who it is? So one, good morning, Michelle. We haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. The purpose of my call is to, and then, so at least engage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you know who you're calling and you get a conversation, you might say, the purpose of my call is because I heard, I read, I researched, say something about congratulations, that was fabulous. So anytime you can get to talking about the other person first. So at least you know, I don't know who this person is. It's obviously a cold call, but at least they researched who we are and
Right.
why we might be of interest.
Yes, yes. Okay. So let's say we've gotten into that conversation, right, with the customer. How do we, I know you've got secrets for the listening, to improving the listening side, the listener's buy-in. What are some of those secrets?
Well, one, you is a magic word,
Mhm.
and finding ways. So, for example, I say, well, if somebody says, well, how do I know that you would be the best speech coach? I say, well, I don't know. There are plenty of speech coaches. However, if you would talk to Bhavin Shaw, the president of, he would tell you it's bringing in the words of other people as if they were there speaking for you.
Mm,
So that's
okay.
another.
That's great.
Then if we can construct our sentences a little differently. We speak, Michelle, whether it's a speech, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a sales presentation, we speak to be remembered and repeated. In
Hmm.
sales, or I work with a lot of technology experts and engineers who present at their customer meetings. And so what I suggest is you are speaking for your audience to remember and hopefully be able to repeat what you say. And when we do this well, we are speaking to the audience of our audience. And we want them, if we're not talking to them yet, we want them to hear the key ideas from our presentation. So let's look at, if you were having a conversation with someone who isn't the decision maker, however, they have influence with the influencers. Because although everyone tells us get to the C-suite, it's not quite that easy. You're probably going to find someone lower. And then if you have a good conversation and you are genuinely nice, make your mother proud. She taught you to be polite. Say, Michelle, whether we do business or not, thank you for your generosity of information. I realize you are looking at other vendors, and I am sure you can't make a bad decision. All the companies you're talking to are good. However, when you talk to your director or when you talk to your boss, please remember to tell her, if you consider our company, the benefits are ba ba, ba ba, ba ba. Now, what have I done? And this is the same in a presentation. I teach my engineers to say, before you do your review, say, well, thank you for your interest in such and such a technology. And remember, when it comes to maximizing your investment in this, bullet, bullet, bullet. But before you do your review, say, if this was of interest to you, please share with your colleagues and your leadership. And remember to tell them our technology, duh, duh, duh. You are giving the words and you are putting into their minds, this is what you say when you talk about this.
That's great advice.
And then, whether it's a presentation or a sales presentation, if we know we want to open and bring them in, go through our presentation as much as possible based on their interest. We're going to tell some good stories. And then we're going to, when you discuss this, please mention this, this, this. And then just as you are closing, whether you're closing your presentation or whether you're delivering your sales presentation, it's what I call your last words linger. Now, perhaps your listeners are familiar with Columbo. Now, Columbo was the kind of messy,
Yeah.
brilliant detective that he lives on forever in replays. But what Columbo always did, just as he was walking out, he'd turn around and say, just one more question. And that's when, of course, they confessed or whatever. And I call this a Columbo close. One of my brilliant copywriter friends said, Patricia, when you create a sales letter, good copywriters write the PS first. And the PS is never a new idea. It is reinforcing why we are sending this letter. It's remember, this latest version is available now, or one of the key benefits. So what I always suggest is, just as you're about to turn off the Zoom or just turn around and remember 157 profitable quarters. Remember 99% of the Fortune 100 do business with us. Those are two actual walkaway lines from two of my clients. Another one that I like, especially for entrepreneurs. Now, entrepreneurs, write this down in case this is perfect for your business. Remember, we are large enough to handle all your challenges, and we're small enough that you will always be a VIP client.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
Mic drop.
Okay, so you just mentioned Zoom. If you're on Zoom, obviously we're streaming this right now. So, are there any other little tricks to think of when you're on Zoom?
Well, when we talk about sales, Michelle, I would never use the word trick.
Okay.
There are techniques. And when you are presenting virtually, you have to project energetic intimacy.
How do you do
In
that?
other words, it boggles my mind that even now, after years of having only Zoom or virtual meetings, some people still won't turn on their webcam.
Yeah.
It is almost impossible to build rapport if you can't see people or to the level. Anyway, turn on your webcam. look into the camera. It's your friend. And take your energy level and just notch it up a little. And by now, we should all be comfortable looking into the camera. And I can't see anybody. Or come on, get over. This is the way we communicate. Learn, or you're at a disadvantage. And I don't know about you, Michelle. There's only one thing I ever needed in business: an unfair advantage. And that's not lying, cheating, stealing. It's just taking all the different ways we communicate and just notch it up, make it a little better.
It's good. Okay, so let's talk about networking. So Glow's built on community. That's one of our 4 C's. And that's really about networking within, right? With the like-minded peers, other business owners, other decision makers. But sometimes people go into a meeting and they don't really know how to network. You're a master networker. Any techniques there?
Yes, of course. I'll give you one. First of all, you have to take the initiative. And take the initiative to walk over and initiate a conversation. And it's not bad to pay a sincere compliment. Oh, St. John never looked as good. Or you might. I know one gentleman that Susan Rowan wrote about in a book, How to Work a Room. A very prestigious president of a company used to wear Looney Tune ties to make it easier for his younger associates who hadn't been formally introduced to come up and talk to him, because they could comment about his tie. So one, take the initiative, pay a compliment, and to be considered interesting, you have to be interested. So the best, whether you're shy or not, ask a question. And it can be simple. It could be, oh, how long have you belonged to Glow? Or what do you like most about these events? It can be that simple to begin the conversation. Always, when people ask you, what is the most common question in business? What do you do? And it's very easy to open with a title and a company. I suggest you answer in a way that is going to lead to, how do you do that? In Silicon Valley, often people say, oh, well, what do you do? And I'll say, I turn brilliant engineers just like you into corporate rock stars. Well, how do you do that? Well, it depends. Do you deliver client demos? Do you report to your leadership? Do you speak at your user meetings? So whatever the answer is, I will then go into, well, if you're one of my clients, I would suggest this. So you have a conversation. Now, this is one of the best techniques ever, ever, ever. Travel with your own PR agent. I mentioned my friend Susan Rowan, best-selling author, How to Work a Room, and many others. We, for years, have been going out together. We were out Sunday. And in networking events, so Chamber of Commerce, Convention of Business Bureaus, we would go in, you separate, you come together, you separate. And how when you can tell when couples are in conversation, don't interrupt. But if I'm walking up to Susan, she say, oh, Michelle, let me introduce you to my friend Patricia Fripp. She is a fabulous speaker, and she really is one of the best speech coaches in the country. In fact, Kipling, a Personal Finance magazine, said one of the best investments you could make in you is learn presentation skills from her. And I'll say, Michelle, I know Susan is far too modest to tell you she's the best-selling author of 6 books. She's been on the front cover of USA Today and the Wall Street Journal. She's even been in Playboy. And Susan says, yes, but not as a centerfold. Now, this is what we call travel with your own PR agent.
Mm.
because most people in polite society are not going to tell you how amazing they are if they just met you. However, if you have someone with you, oh, let me introduce you to my colleague and talk about them. Susan and I have always done this naturally. However, we both now teach this to people who hadn't thought of.
Right. That's interesting. That's a great way. I've never heard someone calling that kind of your PR buddy, but
Yeah,
that's what it is, right? And
yes.
what better way to communicate how wonderful you are through someone else's voice, right? So that they hear it, someone else hears it through someone else other than yourself. Okay, so speaking is one of the greatest fears for individuals, right? Public speaking.
Thank goodness. It keeps us employed if you're a speech coach and get booked as a speaker.
Okay, so many of our Glow members, Patricia, they're going out and making presentations because they're pitching their business on the fact that they're raising capital. What's one of the number one? We're going to make sure we put up your number so that they can contact you for speech presentation skills and coaching. But what's one of the number one? Oops, sorry, I just turned on my phone by accident.
You see,
What's
people
one?
already want to call. They are so thrilled, Michelle, they can't wait till the end of the show.
Okay, so what's the number one mistake that most entrepreneurs make when they're doing a presentation, especially if they have a fear of speaking?
Well, that's a very big question. So let's cut this down to smaller pieces.
Okay.
If you want to raise capital, and I know there are lots of venues who they give you 6 minutes. It's not so much about your product. It's about how fast the investors can make money. And I've talked to venture capitalists. That's it. It's give me a logical plan of how we're going to make money. It doesn't really matter that this is the best widget ever made for this market. One opportunity that began my speaking career long before I realized I'd be a speaker was the best marketing presentation is to deliver talks in your area to service clubs and chamber of commerce. And very often, the best presentations aren't selling. It can't be a sales pitch. It has to be of interest. And when I had my hairstyling salon, one of our clients was Pete Butler. He was very involved, financial services, insurance. And he knew I was out giving speeches and he came to hear me. And I said, Pete, this would be a really good way for you to get some new leads and get some interest and become an object of interest. That's what Roanne and I were doing. We were becoming objects of interest of the people we were talking to, the approach we were taking. So Pete when he was 50, he trained for an Ironman triathlon, and then he got hooked and he would go into all these other amazing athletic events. So I booked him to speak to my breakfast club because I said, trust me, you'll be great. And he began his presentation with, training for a triathlon is very much like planning for your long-term financial success. And then for the next 23 minutes, he regaled us with all these amazing stories about these athletic events. Then he said, before I close, here are 4 questions you need to ask your financial advisor. And then he closed. So his presentation, with his introduction, we knew what he did. He tied it into the beginning and the close of his presentation, but it wasn't a sales presentation. And I watched dozens of people line up to get his business card.
Oh, interesting. Yes. So you're not selling, you're telling stories, which you are a master at, right? And speakers, the good speakers, that's what they do. They tell stories and are great storytellers. And
Now,
but
you can also do a mini version, but you find out for a service club, what you might want to do is you can say, as you know, my dad and I have been serving this community for decades. And whatever the business is, you take 3 of your happy, satisfied clients, you tell stories about them and tie the reason they came to you to what might be of interest to the people in the audience.
Oh, that's good advice too. Patricia, you're just chock full of great information, which I knew you would be. You're fantastic. We've already come to the end of our time together, so I knew it would go very fast. For those that are watching, they can find you at Fripp. It's fripp.com, right?
Fripp, FRIPP.com. You can click at the top and get free resources on sales presentations and presenting in a virtual world. And believe me, if you want to there are 1,000 blog posts if you click on blog and just search sales or any other area of interest. But certainly send me an email, pfripp@fripp.com. You might put in the headlines, GLOW or Global Leaders Organization or Friend of Michelle, just so I go directly and push you up the list to get answered, pfripp@fripp.com.
And we're going to make sure that we put this in Marketplace, and you'll be highlighted on the Glow platform too. So, Patricia, thank you so much for being here today. I really, really appreciate you spending time with me today and our members. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. For everyone else, that's it for today. We'll see you next Thursday with our guest speaker. And until then, stay safe and God